Let's go!
And we are live. What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And we are brought to you by the Off the Ball Network. Make sure to go on over to the Off the Ball Network and check out all the great content by two of the gentlemen that I'm going to be speaking with right now that are joining the show, and all the other great content creators on the Off the Ball Network. That is offtheballnetwork.com. Check out all the great sponsors. Check out the new sponsor, Built Bar, Bet Us, and all the other great sponsors for the Off the Ball Network. So I am joined by two of the best NBA content creators in the biz. I am very excited to have him on the show. First, my man Ersin, the scouting guru. I'm just gonna say, yeah, he's the
Give him that.
he posts a lot of great clips, especially of like international prospects, domestic prospects, Knicks stuff, anything Knicks related as far as clips and understanding what happened in the game, good or bad. He's going to post it. My man Ersin, what's going on, brother?
Appreciate for having me on, gentlemen. And that intro was crazy, man. Appreciate it. Too much honor.
I got to give you a round of applause. Everybody gets a round of applause. And joining us also, the man who hates every quarterback in the business. He hates everyone. He hates, if your name's Kawhi, he hates you too. The VP of the Off the Ball Network, Mo Up in Flames Murphy. Round of applause for our guest. And then
Hey.
one more. For Kawhi. Kawhi laughing at you right now. What's good, brother?
I hate to say that that's my intro, but I'm coming off as that. I'm coming off as like the Grinch of Off the Ball Network. Every time we do a show, I'm always talking about somebody else I hate. I can't stand. So I guess I'm gonna just have to hang it off my chest that Mo's never satisfied.
Oh, Mo he's coming off real grouchy lately, man. I don't know, man. Coming off real grouchy. I think you need a Built Bar, bro.
Yeah.
I
really
think so
bar,
too,
man.
That might be the cure.
Built Bars are not your regular, regular protein bars, man. They different out there. Make sure. So that's a little cheap plug. Built Bar. Make sure to go on builtbar.com. Promo code Off the Ball, and go on there. Get save some money. Get some good stuff. I'm about to place my order today. Kenneth, I got Kenneth shoot. He purchased some. He said they are delicious. So make sure.
Second order.
Yeah, he about to place another. The wife said she loves it. Hey, the more the merrier. Get out, and it helps the network. Give back. And so anyone, make sure to go out to builtbar.com. Promo code Off the Ball. They got great stuff for there. Very happy that they're one of our newest sponsors of the network. So I'm really happy to be working with them. But guys, we are here. Like I said, the NBA season has gone off the way we always expected. It's like Mo show. It's going up in flames. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, right? We got a lot of things, a lot of storylines, both good and both bad. So let's get right into some of the storylines right now. The Ben Simmons saga is still it's still happening. It's still going on. He has mentioned, that he just doesn't like the way he's being treated with the organization. It's gone really ugly, to this point. It's on both sides, and he has mentioned his mental health and all that. And, there's ways you could look at it. Some people have looked at it like, okay, that's kind of a cop out, and some people have favored with him. Like, this is not a situation that is good. So for you guys, just the quickest, we don't got to go deep dive because it's been exhausting, the Ben Simmons stuff, but it is still a storyline that I want to talk about. So Ersin, first, just give me your thoughts on the Ben Simmons saga and what is the solution to this, because this needs to end, and it needs to end like month ago. So
yeah, for sure, man. And regarding Ben Simmons, I'm surprised actually that Philadelphia is doing so good without him. and they basically shot themselves in the foot. They caused this mess. They threw him under the bus. In the playoffs, it wasn't good, but he was second for Defensive Player of the Year. So he's actually a great player, still a great player. He's getting,
Say that again,
although he's
Ersin, that
getting
he is
better.
a great player still, because I think people
Yeah.
forget that man is what he was runner up for Defensive Player of the Year. Arguably should have won it, right? In my opinion, he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. All NBA type player, all star, but yet you would think this man was straight garbage the way he gets talked
If
about.
you look at today, the NBA, everybody thinks Ben Simmons is garbage. I know physically, I think mentally he isn't living up to it, because if he's that talented and off the court what he's doing, so his dedication to the game was always something you doubt in him, but overall he's still a great player. But Philadelphia, they're keeping him on the roster. They can't trade him to anybody without losing value. So they have a huge loss and they're waiting to take it. So actually, Philadelphia is doing quite well without them. 8 wins, 5 losses. Tyrese Maxey at the point, doing well thus far. So I think
That's
for
the bright
them,
spot. He's looked good so far,
yeah,
Maxey. He's taken the biggest, out of when everything going on. Maxey was the beneficiary of this because he's definitely showed out. He was someone that was probably going to come off the bench and provide a spark play, and I thought that would maybe his role, but he's done fine, stepping into that Ben Simmons role and providing that spark off, especially offensively, because that's what he is. He's definitely a bucket getter. So that he's definitely benefited from the Ben Simmons not playing right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Mo? What's your thoughts on this stuff? Because like I said, it's tiring and all that, but how do we resolve this, man?
So Ben Simmons got to go. Listen, I've been covering Ben Simmons being traded since last year. Like when James Harden was asking out for Houston and we know Philly had offered him, like we forget about that. I think when people start to kind of criticize Ben Simmons, they forget that he played a full season after really being a trade piece. And it wasn't about not wanting to give up Ben Simmons. It was the Tyrese Maxey. It was the Danny Green inclusion or something that stopped Philly ultimately from getting James Harden. So you got to remember that. So Philly has kind of showed all signs that they're not really all in on Ben Simmons. They feel like they could get better. They feel like they could do better. So where is he wrong for feeling like he's not wanted? Like, I know he signed the contract, and when he signed the contract at the time, he was wanted. I understand that he really has no leverage, 4 years, left on his contract. So I get all aspects. Like, I'm not mad at Philly for not trading him yet for if they're not getting the right value. Like, it's just so many different directions, and I see all sides of it. But like I talked with Chris Bolton like a year ago almost to date, prior to the season starting last year about, where Ben Simmons would land. Like this was a conversation this time last year prior to the season starting. So we've been talking about this for over a year and where would make the most sense once we knew Philly was willing to trade Ben Simmons. At this point, you got to trade him. Like for the past year, you've showed that you're willing to trade him. Now he wants out. Based on the love he hasn't gotten and the critiques that he has gotten from the organization. So I understand that you're not getting the value that you want from him and value him high. Don't take anything less than what you think he's worth. But at the same time, like I think at the end of the day, the end game for Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers and the Philadelphia 76ers and for Ben Simmons, for all sides' sake, Ben Simmons got to go. Where? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of situations where we can say Ben Simmons should be at. We can play, trade center all day and figure out the perfect trade for Ben Simmons and what we value him and what the rest of the league values him. But at the end of the day, the one thing I think we all can agree on is Philly and Ben Simmons need to part ways. However they got to go about that, that's between them. That's their business. But it has to happen.
Yeah, it's just we gotta end this. We just gotta end this. It's gone way too long. Philly is both sides have their points, but both sides have gone about it kind of wrong. And Philly, they're kind of devaluing their asset because he's not playing. They need to find. They need someone that said someone. I forgot what I was listening to, but someone just said the egos are getting in the way of this, right? Daryl Morey has a big ego. Ben Simmons has an ego. And when you got two people who have huge egos, it's hard to like come together and resolve stuff, right? where Isaiah Thomas had said Daryl Morey should have flew to wherever Ben Simmons is. It doesn't matter if he's walking his dog, he's laying down on the couch. You sit next to him on the couch, you walk with him with his dog, and you figure this out and resolve this. All right. If he wants to get traded, well, the best way is figure a way to get him on the court, get that value up, and then boom. So hopefully we get this resolved, because I don't want to talk about this no more, because it's getting tiring. But
Yes,
we're talking about it anyway. But it's a crazy topic, man. It is a crazy topic. So let's go on to the next. All right. So I haven't got to talk about this on the show yet, but this happened this week, and this was very very controversial, very intense. I remember I'm at work when this happened, and it got me, in the chat. And we all went back and forth for that. Obviously, Joker, Markieff Morris situation. All right, I wanted to dive into this. I know we will all have different takes on this. And Mo, we all know Mo is a Miami Heat fan. So he may have some bias, but I definitely see where he is. But all right, we all know what happened. Markieff Morris. It was a blowout. Gives Joker a little bit. Joker was half court. Markieff bumps into him. Probably unnecessary. I think it was unnecessary to blow out, whatever. Just let the game be over with. Joker comes back, pushes him in the back. Markieff gets, he was hurt from it. So, Mo, I know what you take, but I want to hear it from you. I want to have a little, I want to get this on the show. What's your take on this situation? Was Joker wrong for this? Was Markieff wrong for this? Were both wrong for this? And how it was handled? Do you think the correct suspension fines were correct and with everything, or to tell me how you feel about this whole situation?
So y'all know we spent like 12 hours arguing about this. And I never stuck up for Markieff Morris. He was wrong. Like, I think both sides are wrong. I think the suspension handed down 1 game for Jokic, a fine for Jimmy Butler and Morris. I'm good with that. I don't think Jokic should have been suspended 5 to 7 games, because if you did that, you have to suspend Morris at least 3. The longer Jokic was suspended, at some point you had to suspend Morris. Like, I feel like if 1 game and a fine is okay. But if you would have did like 5 games for Jokic, I feel like Morris had to do 3 because he was the initiator. I just think it was a weak move by Jokic. And I understand, like, I'm not sticking up for Morris. Like, what he did start it, but there's levels to finishing it, right? In the way Jokic did, like, he gathered himself, he bucked up, and bro, he knocked that man Morris. And it's not even about being a Heat fan or wanting my team to win that game. It's just about being a man. And so when I see that, like, you can, and I know you only can get away with that in the NBA. And so people are like, well, obviously it's the NBA. You can do that and get away with it. But like, a guy only does that in the NBA and thinks that there's no repercussions from it, right? Worst that happens, he lost a little bit of money. It's a max contract player. The suspension, who cares? Like, whatever. He really didn't lose much. But at the end of the day, like, it's tough to take like the street ball, the pickup game, the where you're from mentality out of it. And like, you don't do that in any environment where you think there's repercussions for your actions outside of a suspension or a punishment. But if you think there's a butt whooping on the other side of your actions, a guy like Jokic don't do that. Let's just be honest. Whether we think Morris is tough or not, Jokic is not a tough guy. So, like, if he knew based on his actions that there's a fight, he's not going to do that. But because he knew the worst that happens is a push and shoving match, like we saw with, Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner, which that was,
what was that? What was that?
That was to show what the repercussions
that was some, that makes WWE like look like, and I love wrestling, but like, that was some, like, that was bad.
But that's the NBA though. Like, so Jokic doing that, like, I'm not upset with him reacting. I'm really not. Like, I think there's levels, and I think he did too much. But I'm not mad for him reacting. He felt like he was getting bullied and he wasn't having it. So I'm okay with that. But there's levels to it, and the way he went about it, to me, like, Where I'm from, that just don't go down like that. But I've watched it over and over and over again. And I'm upset with the Miami Heat. Like, listen, that night when we were talking about it, we were arguing about it, whatever. But I'm upset with the Miami Heat because after the fact, they did all this talking. Big boy, chop it up, da-da-da. We so gangster. We waiting for you. Bro, all y'all ran up on Jokic and did nothing. Yep. Like Jimmy Butler ran up on Jokic and did nothing. Bam Adebayo ran up on Jokic and did nothing.
And there's that picture. That picture they have in the back.
But all of those guys, either Bam and Jimmy ran up on Jokic and did nothing. Kyle Lowry wasn't even in the scene when it came down to what happened to Morris. So, like, that's my thing is, bro, I'm okay with you being gangster if you're going to be gangster in the moment. But don't talk. You know what I'm saying? Don't do all that talking if you're not going to back it up in the moment. Like, don't get punched in the mouth and then tell me what you're going to do to the dude 10 minutes after it's too late for getting punched in the mouth. Like, I can't respect that. So, the same way I'm mad at Jokic, I'm mad at the Miami Heat also because they should have had their guys back. And I get they were interested in his well-being, but, like, listen, bro, back where we're from, where we come from, like, bro, if that happens in a pickup game on the streets, like, yo homeboys coming to your rescue and everybody fighting. And I get it, it's the NBA. And so that just goes to my point. Like, Jokic does that because he knows he could get away with it.
Yeah. All right. So we got Steven. He wants to defend Joker's honor here. So before I let you go, Ersin, just want to get
I'm
Steven's
not mad
take.
at Joker, though. I'm not all the way mad at him as I was day one. I just want to throw that out there.
I know you ain't mad, but you saying he ain't no tough guy.
He's not.
Come on.
He's not.
Come
Bro,
on.
he's from a country where they'll kill you and put your pieces into like little Ziploc bags and feed them to the children.
I gotta at least ask Mo what his definition of a tough guy is. Then, if he's not a tough guy, what's a tough guy?
It's not Markieff Morris. Like, I'm not gonna say like Jokic is not a tough guy and Markieff Morris is. But what I'm saying is, like, when I say like him reacting, I think he overdid it. Him pushing him back, him wanting to fight. But there's levels. Like, there's a wrong.
It wasn't
just Joker.
And no, it wasn't even just that play. It's all game long with Morris. That's how he makes his money.
But Morris also was upset. Like, when we go to why Morris initiated it, his was a frustration foul, and it was a dirty foul. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending that, but it was a frustration foul because Bam got fouled by Jokic down there, and they didn't call it. So his reaction was, I'm going to stop this play, and I'm going to give a Jokic like, hey, you fouled my guy. Boom. Doesn't make it right. It was wrong. He initiated it. I'm all for that. Like, I think Morris was wrong too. But the way that Jokic responded, and we could go back and say Morris has responded that way, but only on that moment. Like, it was wrong for Jokic to do that, especially like, bro, Jokic to me is not a tough guy. Like, he's a great NBA player. He's not
what does that mean? What's a tough guy?
Man, Zebo a tough guy.
Okay.
Zebo is a tough guy. DeMarcus Cousins is a tough guy.
DeMarcus Cousins would have did the same thing. He did exactly what they would have done.
DeMarcus Cousins would have done the same thing.
I don't know if they would have did the same thing.
Maybe worse.
They might have actually did worse if you want me to be honest.
Yeah,
like, I think they might have did worse. But I'm just
Portland Zebo would have.
Zebo. Hey, now Zebo, I don't think anybody questions the fact that Zebo might be the all-time tough guy in the NBA.
I mean, he punked DeMarcus Cousins, and that's not easy to do.
He's the only guy who punked DeMarcus Cousins. Let's just be honest here.
I'm just saying you can't say to me you can't say that Joker's not a tough guy because not a tough guy would have not been doing anything at all. You know what I mean? Like, just taking that hard foul and doing nothing. Like, that's just encouraging Morris to do what he's been doing since he's been playing ball at Kansas. Like, that's how he made a name for himself, as being like a pest, like a under your skin.
Because he can't score like his brother, so
he's dirty.
Do something.
I give you the fact that he's dirty. Like, I give you that. Like, he is dirty.
Joker responding, and listen, I'm not saying he's on Zebo's level. Like you said, there's levels to this, but to say he's not a tough guy at all, I think is cutting it a little short, because I think he got instigated into being one, because we've never really seen Joker respond like that. And
I respect that.
And to me, being a tough guy is you don't have to flex all the time. But when you do flex, it makes a huge impact. Like, when's the last time you saw one guy get a whole team of veterans get riled up because he flexed on the whole team like that. You know what I mean? Like
Steven proceeds to shut me up again.
saying Joker got all of Miami, and those are all OGs. Like Udonis Haslem, like all those, like none of those dudes stepped on Joker. They wanted to wait until they were all organized and formulated and talk to each other afterwards to be like, let's go to dude's door. Like those dudes didn't do anything afterwards. Like you really those trainers like could have held back Jimmy Butler if Jimmy Butler really wanted to do like if you're saying that Joker's not a tough guy because it didn't result in like swinging on. None of the Miami dudes did anything to try to swing on Joker. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I'm not mad at you saying that. Like I am definitely on like the Miami Heat played fake tough guy after the situation because I look at it like if that and obviously we can't look at the NBA as a street ball level because you get away with that situation. Like that situation doesn't turn out
malice, a palace either. That's
like that doesn't turn into where we grew up violence. Like where we grew up, that's a flat out brawl. All your homeboys fighting with you. But even still, like I'm upset with the Heat for not reacting. Like they were kind of, they didn't react the way they should have. They waited till it was over with. But I still, and you're right. Maybe I shouldn't call Jokic a fake tough guy. And it wasn't, he doesn't have that tough guy persona. Like that's not his.
Like no one, we never would have, if they were to put Vegas odds on him responding to a Morris shove, like I feel like whoever would have placed that bet would have walked away rich because no one really expects Joker to do that. But Joker playing without basically his next two best players and getting targeted because he's beating up the Miami Heat almost single-handedly. Like he took it upon him. Like he's representing all of Denver by himself basically. And no one in Miami really wanted to do anything. Like they just talked about it afterwards. To me, Joker is a tough guy because when literally push came to shove, he was the only one that looked like he was about it.
I can see you.
I think. Wait, Steven. I think you changed Mo's mind. You know what?
I think so too.
Where is it? Where is it?
It's not that he changed my mind, but I see his point of view, and I can't argue that. Like I can't argue his change, but to me, what was wrong was the beginning, like the whole Jokic initial reaction. Like to me, bro, that's soft. Like as tough as we may say it is, and if anybody else reacted, we might applaud it. I don't. In that situation, it still was. You don't do that. Like. Nobody responds to that unless you don't respect the man around you. Like, bro, that's just you only do that in the NBA. I put it like that. Only the NBA allows something like that for players, period. Not just Jokic. Only the NBA is a league where that happens and you get away with that by players, by coaches, whatever. Only you feel like you can get away with that in the NBA. I guess that's my whole problem with it is Jokic only does that in the NBA because he knows like what's really the worst that happens is like
gonna happen.
Ran up on him and pushed him. That's the worst. Jimmy Butler wasn't gonna come and knock him out. He had no real worries about really being physically hard.
But Mo. All right. So let's go to the street ball thing. All right, and we're playing, and I'm whooping your ass. Let's say it's me and Ersin versus you and Steven. And we whooping your ass. And you
real
do what Markieff Morris did to someone in the streets, or you don't have to be against us, against anyone. I mean, it could be worse than what we saw. Like, so like to me, that wasn't even that bad. Like it could have been worse. To me, that's what Markieff did was escalate something that shouldn't have been. Like take that to me, and this is how I am, and this is why I defend Joker on this. To me. When you get in your ass kicked, do not be a sore loser by doing cheap shit.
But the response, I can't get mad at the response. If I'm punking you on the court, right? On the court, and I'm busting your ass, right? Fair game, right? Yeah. You do some punk shit like that. You can't get mad if I push you or whatever. Because listen, in the streets, that could be worse. But in the
Let's keep it a
streets,
buck. It could be worse.
in
But
the
like
streets,
it's
like
an
if I'm
NBA.
Morris,
It's like it's what we saw is that's how tame it's gonna be. Nothing's gonna happen. These guys are millionaires, right? They ain't gonna do nothing.
and I
They
said,
ain't gonna do nothing.
Their-
All
and
right, these
their
guys are
image
making
together,
$20 million. They ain't doing nothing to each other.
but on a
But if
street
you
level,
want to say bring it to the streets,
but on a street
whatever
level, if I'm
Markieff-
Morris, then you're upset with Jimmy and Bam. Like you got it. If I'm Morris and we take it on the street,
the Miami Heat would if we
you
put
have
in the
to be
street,
upset.
Miami takes a massive L because they're sore losers, right? Markieff was the sore loser because he getting his ass beat, and then his boys said they were gonna do something and they didn't do nothing.
Yeah,
That's
they're-
what I'm
And the
saying.
homeboys and
they're
his one
you
tall
go on
white
street
dude,
level,
and they just got punked.
but if you go on a street level, like put it in your perspective, right? So what you said is, so if me and Steven show up to the gym together, and we don't, let's just hypothetically, so it's me and Steven, that's my guy, you and Ersin, that's your guy. At the end of the day, no matter what, my job showing up with Steven is that I have his back and he has my back, regardless of what happens while we're here at the court. So even if I did that, what's supposed to happen is Steven is supposed to step in, have my back, and then be upset with me later. Like if I do something stupid, cause us to get in a fight, Steven's supposed to fight with me, and then he gets mad at me later. But he doesn't get mad at me in the moment, right? Like he doesn't look at me like, bro, how did you get us in this situation? So I look at the Miami Heat, and I'm upset with them too.
it depends
because
what happens after the fight, whether or not I'm mad at you. To be
well,
honest,
but even still, like, because if you're like, bro, even still, you got us in a fight, I'm pissed off at you, like you shouldn't have did that. That's fine, but that's between us, because at the end of the day, like we show up, we got each other's back. That's where Jimmy and Bam was supposed to come from. They were supposed to have his back regardless, whether they thought he was right or wrong, not do all that later stuff. And if you weren't going to do nothing in the moment, don't try and act tough when you're controlled. So I'm mad at the Miami Heat too.
Yep.
Don't try and act tough when you're controlled. Now security's got you. Now everybody in the gym realizes what's going on and they got your back. So I'm on both sides, but I think what Jokic initially did with his response, to me, like that was a soft move.
I think we all agree with you on the after the moment part. Like Miami,
Yeah, after the moment, bro. Miami should have shut up.
Yeah,
you did nothing
but
then. You should have shut up.
Though. They were trying
Chris
to
is
do
trying to
too
say-
tough guy. Like
I think what Chris is trying to say is like, if you walk up to somebody, we're keeping it on a street level. If you walk up to somebody, you're losing, you're mad, and you like put your forearm under their armpit, right? And you're rushing them, you are basically asking for anything that happens after that.
Mhm.
Like if you're charging up on a dude and fouling him dirty like that in the middle of a game, like you basically are inviting whatever happens next. I think that's what Chris is saying.
Yeah, agree.
But
What's your take, Ersin? What's your take on this?
Well, actually, I agree with both sides. That's the first part. But I think what drives Jokic mad is he placed his knee at the side of Jokic's knee. You know, and Jokic had injury in the offseason on that knee.
Yep.
So it was something that was thought over. You know, and to be honest, the way that Jokic responded, you know, that's our principles. You know, you don't attack a man in his back. So he is guilty on that part. But to be honest, man, those guys from Miami Heat are all pussies, man. Let's be honest.
Ooh,
I didn't want to say that.
I know I gotta put the
immature.
expletive. I gotta
Oh,
put.
come
You know how
on,
you
man.
put the podcast and they say if it's expletive or it's not expletive. I gotta put the expletive now on the podcast.
I was refraining from saying that, but I don't disagree with you. So I'm cool.
We turned Mo. Mo thinks that it wasn't a cheap shot. He thinks Markieff's not as
A
tough as
cheap
he is.
shot,
So
yo.
let's just
No,
confirm it. Sam.
no.
The cheap
Say
shot,
it.
you'll
Cheat
Say it
all
with
the way
your chest.
around. It was soft for everybody. Like the whole
Yeah, sure.
situation was soft. Like the whole situation
Now
was.
everyone's
It was
soft.
all shit show, bro. They're all millionaires. They're
Yo,
gonna complain.
It was all a bunch of NBA dudes trying to be tough.
Yeah.
All right. I think we all could say that. All NBA guys trying to be tough, knowing that damn well ain't nobody do like remember the CP3 stuff with the Clippers? That happened.
Yeah,
What
that was
Kevin
They
embarrassing shit, man. Come on.
ain't gonna do.
he ain't gonna these are millionaires. They ain't doing nothing to each other.
No, it
bro.
goes, but
They
so
ain't
far, like
doing nothing. So
even when a punch is like when a punch is thrown, punches don't get thrown. Essentially, like we saw it with the CP3 and Rondo situation.
Or Cat and
And B, one punch gets thrown, you get into it, and then like, but punches don't get thrown. People, this isn't hockey, so like you can kind of And it's not even Jokic. It's just an NBA period. Like, you can act tough. You can talk all that because at the end of the day, like, what's really going to pop off? Everybody going to seem tough, walking from a situation. Everybody going to say what they say. But
Gobert said the same thing after the Turner thing. Gobert said the exact same thing that you're saying. Gobert said that no fights really happen in the NBA because everybody
knows what's really going to happen.
When
like,
was the last
to put up
when was the last fight in the
Carmelo.
NBA?
The first one that I could think of is when Carmelo
against the Knicks, right? Against Marty Collins.
Yeah, when
that was what, like
he threw a punch in
10 years, 11 years ago.
Yeah, but that was like that was
even longer.
Like, I'll give that. Like, that was a brawl. Punches were thrown, multiple punches by multiple players. Like, that was a fight. I would say the Cat and Embiid got scrappy for the NBA.
Closest thing we got in the fight in a long.
Yeah,
that was fight-ish.
NBA standards. Like punches, like swings were thrown, elbows were thrown. Like, it didn't get too far. But it's the NBA, though. Like, this isn't hockey where fights happen. This isn't football where physicality is part of the sport, so you really get into it. Like, helmets ain't getting swung on guys with no helmets on. Myles Garrett. Like, that's not going to happen in the NBA, and it's going to get broken up before it gets that deep. Like, had the Malice at the Palace never happened, then fights might happen more often. But because that happened and fans got involved, then you never know. And we're in a time now where social media plays an aspect on shining light on negative situations. The NBA cannot allow full out brawls, even just between players, happen anymore because the light shines. And now, like, the fans, the people who pay for everything, dictate the punishment. And so you can't really fight in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, this fighting's stupid in the sport where you're making a lot of money. So
I still think they should fight. Like, I still think, like, I think the jawing should turn into swinging. Like, to me, because you talk like you're tough, so show the world, like, show us that you're tough, or just shut up. Period. Like, I'm in the ball where, like, if y'all gonna talk, y'all gonna push each other, y'all gonna jaw, y'all gonna call whoever, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because some hateful terms get slung both ways. Fight. Like, just fight. Just take whatever. If you that tough, you're not worried about the money, especially a guy like certain guys are making so much money. You're not worried about the money that you lose in a 10-game suspension. Fight. Knock them out. Whatever. Like, just take that one swing. If you really that tough, and call it a day. That's just, or shut up. Like, if you ain't gonna really do nothing, shut up. Like Markieff Morris, you shouldn't have did that.
That's what I'm saying. He should have just not done anything, and then that's it. But Steven's got to go. Steven, thank you for chiming in on the joke. Thank you for turning Mo and agreeing with all us now. He no longer thinks that Markieff was right. He thinks Joker was right. So good job doing that.
Guy. We have good conversations, just I do with the rest of y'all. Much love, Mo. There ain't gonna be no, like, Turner Gobert thing between me and Mo or anything like that. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna still be tuning in, but I had to jump on when I heard that Joker ain't a tough guy. That triggered me.
See, there's little things that get Steven triggered, and calling a Joker a joke is not one of them. But yeah, all right. But that was something I want to talk about because that was a very.
I think we spent a little bit longer than you thought.
We did spend a little, but it's something that that's been the topic of the last week. So because now the Joker brothers they get into it. Markieff.
That's what bothers me though. But that's for
now it's getting a little stupid now.
That bothers me because
that's we won't get into all that.
Yeah,
that but let's get back into obviously this season so far, we've seen some early surprises on both sides, right? Both good and bad. So, Ersin, I want to go with you first. Give me a team that's both surprising and disappointing this far, because we've seen some things that we did not expect in this season so far. So, give me a team that is disappointed, the most disappointing team so far, and the most surprising team so far.
Well, the disappointing one is that then the Hawks. Now, to be honest, they cooked us last season in the playoffs.
You had them as a top 3 seed going into this. And listen, last year they struggled early too. New coach, all that. Then they changed, but so far, definitely very disappointing.
Yeah, I think what surprised me, they got DeAndre Hunter back. They got Cam Reddish back. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They cooked us in the playoffs. I have them in the top 3, but I think when they would force the top 2, after Kyrie wasn't sure they wasn't going to play anymore. So I had them as the hot team. So at least seeing their record now, what are they 4-9? I mean, come on, man. Trae Young is playing very well, but their defense is Swiss cheese, bro. It's not good.
They've
And I
lost
think
6 in a
they're
row. They've lost 6 in a row,
yeah.
and they are 1-8 on the road. So they're just they just not playing good basketball at all. There's a lot of they're not in sync at all. Do you, Ersin? Do you think that they have too much talent? Do you
I
think they
think
just
so.
have too many guys who are approaching like extensions, right? We're getting into the point where guys are going to want extensions. We just saw Trey and John Collins get it. We got a couple guys that may be coming up, and guys want to get their own. And do you think that bodes? That's why they're having issues. That there may be some chemistry. To them, like, hey, I want to get my own, but I can't because we got some guys. Do you think that has anything to do with maybe why they're struggling right now?
I think they have too many good pieces, man. They have to trade a couple of guys, get a real veteran, get a real, a player that's going to bring to the next level. What surprised me is they didn't really took a step in the off season. They drafted almost everybody. I think process wise, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference by far.
They did
And if you look at that three,
everything good this all, like you just mentioned, Erson. They re-up John. They're coming off an Eastern Conference appearance. The Nets don't have Kyrie. The Buck. They drafted really well, right? Jalen Johnson from Duke. They got Sharif Cooper in the
yeah,
second round. Everything was there, right? So it wasn't crazy to think that they're gonna get better. And we haven't seen it so far.
yeah, for sure. I was expecting personally they would make a trade. Gallinari, maybe Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, throw in some pieces. You get a player that's going to bring them to the next level. And I think that team can win a championship in a few years, but they need someone extra. They have too little of championship experience. I mean, who's their veteran? Solomon Hill. I mean, come on, man. That's not the guy that's going to give you that leadership. Bogdanovich plays for the Kings. I mean, they need something that the Miami Heat have, with Kyle Lowry, fresh off a championship, they joined their team. I mean, if you look at their pieces, Jimmy is the veteran, but Bam
Hawks
Adebayo, Tyler Harrell,
They need
those guys,
Bradley
yeah,
Beal.
they get that leadership from Lowry that they need. So I
agree.
think the Hawks are, for that reason, the most disappointing team for me. I think if they would be 7-7 or something, I would say the same thing. So the record is relevant in this one, but mostly the basketball that they're showing, man. The defense is total trash.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like even though Kyle Lowry's numbers aren't eye popping right now for Miami, you could see that he's brought that different attitude to this team. I mean, they've had. I mean, that team went to the
Yeah, they
finals
have it
2
with
years
Jimmy.
ago, but they saw what happened last year. They needed some extra vet leadership, and obviously that guys have stepped up. But for Atlanta, I think we were just so high on this team because we didn't expect them to have the season they had last year, and nobody expected the Atlanta Hawks to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. And maybe if they're healthy, maybe they get to the finals, right? And we're seeing something, something like we saw with the Warriors when they won the championship. They kind of we knew they had the pieces, but like they kind of when they won that championship, nobody thought they were going to win a championship. I think they had like the 10th best odd that year. I think our guy Kevin had wrote an article about the teams with the best odds to win it entering every season, and he had mentioned that the Cavs were, but the Warriors were like like the 10th best odds or something like that. So I think for Atlanta, we assume Trey's a stud, John Collins
Yeah,
is a stud. They got Huerter. You're getting Cam Reddish back, right? So you think you're getting Reddish back, added with Bogdanovich and all this. It's just I don't know. I mean, I think they could figure it out because I think they have the core to do it and the coach, but so far, it has been a disappointment so far.
yeah.
And what team did you have that surprising?
I mean, that's an easy one, man. If you look at the Eastern Conference, the Washington Wizards, I mean, they're killing it, man. I think they had a problem with Westbrook, that contract. They traded him for Montrezl
Oh man,
Harrell.
is Westbrook really
Yeah,
the problem? Is it just that simple? Like we just had to get rid of Westbrook.
I
Is it
think
that
so
simple?
because what they did is, if you look at that team, it's not very impressive. They
Right?
got
I think it's
Dinwiddie. Yeah,
right. I mean, I think he's obviously we know the triple doubles and all that, and that's cute and all, but it's like it's cute. All right, that's cool. And triple doubles, all right, that's cool. But it's like basketball, like like what he does on the court can really hamper you. And it just seems like he was the problem in Washington. I don't want to say a problem, but like just wasn't the right fit. Because we're seeing this team now, and we're like, hold up. Bradley Beal is shooting less than 40% from the field. He's only averaging like 21 a game. And they're in first place in the Eastern Conference. I don't
and they
know.
got
I
so
don't
many
know.
pieces.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the stat sheet the other day, with the offensive box score plus minus. If you look at the top six, Montrezl Harrell is at the top six, man. And the
I
top
mean,
five
he's
are,
having a bounce back
yeah,
year
man.
and a
I
half.
think he's the favorite for most improved player early on. And overall, the team is looking nice, man. They're not a great team on paper. They're a good team, man. Beal is the star, obviously, and they have a new point guard in Dinwiddie, who I always liked as a player. I even wanted him on the Knicks, I think he added a lot of things on the Knicks as well. And if
Yeah.
you look at that talent, then the FDI at the three, Hashimura is disappeared, but I think if you look at the team, they have some exciting players, and take Montrezl Harrell, the front runner for most
Montrez
improved
has been
player at this
balling, man.
moment, and he's been balling, man. He's ranked 10th in free throws. I mean, he's shooting very efficiently. Top six in offense, basketball, plus minus. And the top five is even the best five players in basketball. So that's really surprising. I think they're the biggest surprise. I think it's a cheap take because they're the best record in the East, but they're showing for it, man.
Yep. And like I said, this is with Bradley Beal not being Bradley Beal yet. Like he has not played great basketball, shooting 40% from the field, 25 from three. And they still right now, I know it's early, it's still topping these. Mo, what about you? Give me your most disappointing team right now and your most surprising team right now.
All right, so I'm gonna go most disappointing, and I'm probably with a lot of people. The New Orleans Pelicans. Like, I know no Zion, I get it, but like you got Brandon Ingram who's still playing All Star level.
I mean,
Bro,
that's a dumpster
like,
fire, bro.
and you
That's
got
bad.
Valanciunas who's averaging 20 points a game. You got Brandon Ingram who's playing All Star level basketball, 25.7 rebounds, almost 5 assists. Like that's All Star level basketball, and you're the worst team in the NBA. Literally, they have the worst record in the NBA. There has to
1
be
and 11,
1 and 12,
1 and 12, even worse. Like it's
So,
bad.
and I get there's no Zion, but like you have an all-star caliber player right now in Brandon Ingram, and then you have a big man averaging 20 points in Valanciunas. You got Devontae Graham. I get it. It's kind of a downgrade from Lonzo Ball, but even still, like he can score. Like he's still scoring point guard. We saw him play pretty well. And his stock rose last year, with the Hornets alongside Rozier and LaMelo Ball. So I think they've just been so disappointing. And it's like when Zion comes back, like essentially when you get a star, young cat like Zion, you have to show out enough to convince him to stay because the NBA isn't like the NFL. There are no franchise tags. Like there are incentives that you can sign if you sign a long, an extension with us because we drafted you, we own your rights, like you can make some more money. But with all the money to be made outside of the league, like New Orleans isn't doing them a good job, doing them a justice at all to keep Zion Williamson. And we know we've had a lot of hints towards Zion being interested in other endeavors outside of New Orleans. We know his family's not satisfied. And so to see them without him, like Zion to me is not the guy who turns the New Orleans Pelicans from the worst team in the NBA to even a play-in contender. I don't think he's that. And so I think he's exploring his options of where he would really like to go. And so we know how that turns out. When a young guy wants out and we know he doesn't plan on re-signing with the team, we know how that turns out. That means Zion ends up getting traded. We get traded this year? Probably not. I don't know if he'll do that. I don't know if he'll do that this year, but I think even next year, like when it comes time
Rookie
for him
extension.
to essentially, like when it comes time to discuss
Does
the
he resign?
extension,
Does he? All right, you're Zion Williamson right now, Mo.
no.
You
I
get the
don't.
rookie extension offer. It's probably going to be what did Luka get? What did
Trey Young
what
and them
Trey
got
Young?
all
What did Trey
what
Young get?
incentives
He
get
got
like
what
5 million.
5 for 200 almost
170. It's like 170, but
170.
but with incentives is
Okay,
200.
you're Zion Williamson. You
No,
haven't. You have. All right. So I'm going to give you both sides.
I'm saying
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you the side with the injuries. All right. You got the injury history and all that. You're looking at that 175. Do you take it, or are you that miserable in New Orleans that you turn down $175 and you good with all the endorsement money and you could take that risk to not get that max initially, knowing that there could be a risk that you could get hurt and all that? Do you just say, or what do you do if you're Zion?
I leave. Like, because I see Steven in the comments saying restricted free agency, but that only lasts a year. Like, you're only a restricted free agent for 1 year. So
Yeah.
it's like franchise tagging a player for 1 year.
Because if he restricted and he signs an offer sheet somewhere else, New Orleans is going to
Right. So essentially, he could just say, like, he could be a restricted free agent, but he doesn't have to sign long term. And yeah, New Orleans is going to match it. But I think if ultimately he doesn't want to be there, I'm not saying force your way out in the wrong way, but hey, I don't have long term plans here in New Orleans. Let them trade you. You can even do it without making it public until ultimately it becomes public. And I know that's not how players do it. They force their way out, but there's ways of doing it where
I think it has to get ugly. It just that's the only way, especially in today's NBA.
Let it get ugly. Like, if you
it's going to be like James Harden.
Then let it get ugly.
It's going to get ugly because that's the only way. It's like, in today's league, we know everything leaks out.
Yeah,
it's going to get ugly.
If you don't want to be there, don't be there. Like, if you don't want to be in New Orleans, because y'all, and I've said this on multiple, conversations. I love the draft, but I hate the idea of the draft because
it's good and bad. Agree.
Because players can't pick where they go. Like, they have no say so. Yeah. The better a player is, the worse situation they have to go to. That's essentially the story of the draft. Like,
and being a savior, and then they got to be a savior.
And at least in the NBA, you have the lottery to where you may not go to the absolute worst team, but you're going to go to one of the worst teams more than likely.
But a bad market.
So when I look at that, like, I will not be upset with Zion saying essentially I don't want to be here no more. I'm not going to sign an extension sheet because being a restricted free agent, like Steven said, it's essentially a franchise tag, but he can play that year without signing anything, and then boom, there he goes. So if I'm Zion, I leave. Like, I'm sorry, I leave. I learn early the mistakes that I've watched these star players learn late. You watch everybody be all about their money and regret it later and eventually ask out. So why be about money early? It happens. Anthony Davis, we're still hoping Dame Lillard learns that lesson, but like, Anthony Davis dipped. James Harden, to me, I don't kill him because to me, he did everything he could do in Houston before asking. Yeah. Just my opinion. He gave Houston everything he could before asking out because he felt like there was no higher ceiling than any previous success he's had done. Could it have been better? Yes, but still. But you look at, like, every player has to make it ugly, but don't sign that extension and then pull a Ben Simmons where you have no leverage because you got 4 years left, and now you sign that extension with intentions of wanting out. Like, that's as simple as that. So don't sign the extension. Ask out.
Don't sign it.
If you don't want to play, don't sign that extension. Ask out. And bro, just think about it. There will be teams lining up to trade for Zion. Zion essentially says he doesn't want to stay in New Orleans.
He also needs to show that he can stay healthy also. He does need to show that he's in shape. Okay, because we know the talent is there, right? He is a bulldozer, right? He will bulldoze you. He has shown that he can get you 26 a game while doing everything in the paint and being 6'7", right? Even though he could jump out the gym, 6'7", bullying guys like Rudy Gobert and Valanciunas around, who are big dudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen how many guys take the money and regret it, right? Because listen,
all the time.
But what different in Zion's situation is that he's a marketing superstar, right? He's on a lot of commercials, right? He's on Mountain Dew commercials. He was on the cover of 2K. His money's different, right? Than most of these guys who are essentially, their contract is where they're making their money. They may have little endorsements here and there, but they're not getting Zion off the court money. He has a shoe with Jordan. He has a Jordan brand deal. So if you're Zion, you can control your destiny. You don't want to be in New Orleans. Don't sign. I know you can be restricted and all that, but don't sign. Don't sign long term. Don't sign long term just to get the bag. And I know, listen, you see that they show you all them zeros, and it's like, yo, that's a lot of zeros. That's 6 zeros, whatever. But to me, if you want, do we want to be in a Ben Simmons situation? Do you want to be like De'Aaron Fox? De'Aaron Fox, we all know, could be miserable. Sacramento. Let's be real. Keep it a buck. Sacramento, they have their own issues. So for Zion's sake, I hope they figure this out, and he's another one that's figure this out, because I don't like that he's not playing. I think the NBA is better when he's on the court, and I know New Orleans, their attendance must be in the absolute tanker because he hasn't played yet, and they're a really bad basketball team.
Brandon Ingram is the best thing to see.
He's missed a lot of games too this year, and that's another guy that he signed a max deal and is probably damn.
He's got some value though.
He's a trade target too. Someone can get himself a really good player.
This is what young guys have to ask themselves here in today's NBA. Do you want the money or do you want a legacy? Because legends are paid for life.
Yeah.
The money is temporary. At the end of the day, legends are paid for life. Look at Magic Johnson. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at what LeBron James is set up with. Look at, rest in peace to the late, great Kobe Bryant. But look at Kobe Bryant. Look at the legends. They're paid for life. So do you want a legacy? Do you want to be legendary? How many guys are really legendary without a championship? When you really think about it.
It's hard. I look like Chuck.
Barkley is more so legendary for inside the NBA on TNT. At this point,
otherwise he wasn't.
Yeah. And he was a great NBA.
That's rare. There's not a lot of guys with no rings that have done what Chuck has done.
Even AI, and I hate to say it, but even AI went broke. Let's just be honest. So do you want to be? Do you care about the money or do you care about a legacy? Because with a legacy, with legend, the paychecks are going to come. The money's going to find a legend. So leave. Because if you care about the money, you're going to stay in a bad situation. You're going to be a great player to never win a chip. Do you really want to be the guy who's labeled the greatest player to never win an NBA championship? Yeah, that's a cool title. But guess what? A lot of great players have won championships. So you're the best of the rest. So if you're Zion and you have the potential to have a legacy, look at Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis eventually left and tried to create a legacy, going to LA, winning a championship. Okay, I was the best of the rest in the NBA at this very moment. And now I want to create a legacy. I want to win championships. I want to be Hollywood. I know what comes with LA, the stardom, the money, the opportunity. So young guys have to start valuing that too. Do you want the money or do you want a legacy? Because if you want the money, you're Carmelo Anthony. If you want a legacy, you're Dwayne Wade or LeBron James. In the current era, that's how you put it. Wade was able to stay in Miami because he brought Chris Bosh and LeBron James. But had that not happened, Dwayne Wade was going to leave in the first place. But outside of that, if you want the money, you're going to be mellow and you're going to chase the money. And now, late in your career, you're seeking to validate a legacy that you had by chasing the money, by playing for the Lakers and hoping that you get the championship that everybody wants to see Melo get, no matter what team he plays for. But if you want the legacy, you're LeBron James. Look, LeBron left Cleveland, went to Miami, came back to Cleveland, won chips in Miami, won a chip in Cleveland, went to LA and won the championship. LeBron bounced, did what he had to do to create his legacy. So do you want to be a legend or do you want to be a paid guy? That's what you have to value as a young guy.
But do you think guys are worried about the backlash? Because it seems like everybody wants everyone to have a championship, but they want them to do it in the worst conditions, right? They want you to be the star and then play with a bunch of schmoes, right? That's how that's how you get validated, right? You got to win your championship with nobodies, right? That's how we. Because KD, we look at KD, right, and people look at his championships and say, "Well, days don't mean anything." And to me, I don't like when people say that, because they do mean something. He won a championship. Now, it may have not been the way you wanted him to win a championship, but he was the best player And he, a lot of the shots he hit was on LeBron, right? So he's doing it on the big stage, right? Because if Kevin Durant had failed and doesn't win, he would have got destroyed. But he won it, so oh no, that so it can't go both ways. You can't have it both ways, right? Because they would have killed KD if they would have lost, right? They killed LeBron James when he lost, right? Mo. They killed LeBron when he lost to the Mavs. All right, but when he won the championship, they was like, oh well, that was a young Thunder team. Then they win the Ray Allen saved them, right? There's always and KD. Well, he loses the 3-1 series lead to Golden State, right? It's like, then goes to Golden State, wins back-to-back championships, all right? And they, he played with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, but he was the best player. He was the reason why they were champions, because if KD's not there, the Warriors may not win back-to-back world championships. So, yes, is it easier for him to win a championship because he got Steph? Yes. But I don't like that we want all these guys to Dame needs to win a championship to validate and all that, but when they want out, Harden wants out and is tired because he doesn't think the Houston Rockets can do it, we then ridicule them. But we want them to win a championship, but we want them to win it with poverty. That's the only way you get. That's the only way you can validate win. It's like you got to win it with poverty. But
I think
there's like dirt
going about it. Like, did Harden need to go to the Nets to win a championship? And first off, they haven't won, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Obviously, injuries and whatever. But there were multiple teams that could have used Harden's services. Where, had Harden gone to Philly, nobody would be upset. You would have had James Harden and Joel Embiid. You would have still felt like, yeah, he got out of Houston, but won a championship. What people consider the right way, right? You don't super stack.
They still would have got on him though, because he forced his way out of Houston.
Yeah, but even still,
you know how it is, Mo. They would have
just like when KD, when we talk about all the places that he had the potential to go to, he could have went to Miami. I don't kill him for not going to Miami. He should. He could have went to Miami. He could have went to New York or whatever. And everybody
went to Miami too, from Cleveland to Miami. That's an easy.
Yeah, if I'm LeBron, I go to Miami. But when I'm KD, KD didn't have to go to Miami under that circumstance. That wasn't the best situation for him to win the championship. But I think KD, yeah, you don't want him to go to the greatest situation. Like superstars, those top 5 to 8 to 10 guys. They should get it to where they're the best player on a championship team. And a lot of these guys have gone yeah, KD was the best player, but he went to where he had a guy who was almost his equal in Steph Curry. And then James Harden goes over there and he goes where he's got guys who are his equal in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I see both sides of it. And I just think there's certain ways where you don't have to go to Harden didn't have to join Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to essentially chase a championship. There could have been other situations where he could have went Philly. I know things didn't work out, but there could have been other places where he's I don't want to go to Brooklyn. I want to go here, and have a list of 3 teams where they could have had a shot at a championship with addition of James Harden. So I think that's where people kill him is bro, you put Brooklyn on your list. Brooklyn was your number 1 destination to go play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Why didn't you want to go play anywhere else? Even though the other 2 teams that he could have went to, Philly and Miami, wasn't willing to give up what James Harden cost. And we both look at both of those teams
but that's what it comes down to also is willingness to give up the assets to get a James Harden, right, Ersin? If I'm willing to give you this, if Brooklyn's willing to give up what they gave up, then you have to take the deal. And for if you're Houston, you don't care if he's going to a super team. That's not what you're worried about, getting the best deal. And if Miami's not willing to give you Tyler Hero, right, which is essentially what they, and if the Sixers weren't willing to give you Tyrese Maxey and Ben Simmons and whoever else, Maurice Thybulle, then if you're going to get Jared Allen and a bunch of these pieces, then, you got to take that deal. Then if that's the best deal, who cares if he's going to from the super team,
Yeah, it's just, I get on both sides, but at the same time, you can't kill Kevin Durant and act like, his championships don't matter. So
yeah,
it just all comes, fans will never be satisfied. Me and Steven talked about that on my show. Like you said, fans will never be satisfied.
No.
We want them to do it the right way. They go do it the right way, and we felt like they could have did it a better way. They go attempt to do it the right way and don't get it done. We critique them for you tried to do it the right way and you still weren't good enough. Like fans will never be satisfied. A lot of guys' legacy will never be cemented because fans have agendas. And essentially, like once you're convinced of one thing, it's tough for any guy to do anything to convince you otherwise. Like, period. When it comes to the GOAT argument, when it comes to player rankings, whatever we do, like a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people have agendas. And so you view certain players certain ways, and it's going to take the player behind that player that you have at number 5. It's going to take the number 8 player 3-4 times more for you to be convinced that he's better than the number 5 player. So there's agendas. There's all types of different evaluations. We all look at the game different. So fans will never be satisfied. Even analysts, guys like us, will never be satisfied with the game for the simple fact, bro. We all look at it this way.
No, definitely not. I'm never satisfied with the Knicks. No matter, Ersin, we always get mad at that team.
Until they win a chip.
Until they win a chip. When I'm 97 years old, they'll finally win it. But all right, let's get into the final topic, final segment of this show. And there's a buy or sell segment. All right, so this is how we're going to end the show off. Appreciate you, gentlemen, for joining me. This has been so fun, chopping it up, talking everything about the NBA. All right, buy or sell. Let's go with the first one. Buy or sell the Cavs being a playoff team. Ersin, you go first.
I'm buying it, bro, for sure.
Buying it? You're buying all it? Okay. You're buying it? Okay. They've looked good so far. They've looked good so far. It's early, but the schedule's been beneficial. But they have definitely good. What about you, Mo? Buy or sell? Playoff team.
I'm selling. Because you made it so specific saying playoff team, and I don't count
top 6. Yeah.
I don't count teams that lose in the play-in tournament and don't play in that 1 through 8 as a playoff team.
I agree.
I think the Cavs make it in the play-in tournament. So we're talking about 7, 8, 9, and 10. But I don't think they get
1
there.
1 through 8. 1 through 8 is a playoff team. Like play-in is not to me. You have to get in.
7 and 8 essentially have to play to actually play a 7-game series. So I think the Cavs have an opportunity. I don't think they play a 7-game series though.
But you know what?
The fact that they're even in the top 6.
Top 6?
I think they're going to be top 6 in the East for sure.
Hey,
no, I don't think eventually, bro. They fall off. First off, most teams are healthy right now. I mean, you gotta look at Milwaukee. Like Milwaukee's playing bad. They ain't got no Chris Middleton. They ain't got no Chris Middleton right now. That doesn't matter. Giannis didn't play a couple games, but I don't see Cleveland. Like, bro, they started off good last year. When we really look at it, they
always start off good. They always doing like 3-0 or 4-1.
They always have the Cinderella story, I think they're going to be
different. I think they're playing tournament, but I think like when you talk about the play-in, like you're looking at like 8 different teams that could be in a play-in scenario. You're looking at the Heat, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Hornets, the Bulls, the Wizards. Like all those teams could be in the play-in scenario because it's a dogfight in the Eastern Conference, and I'm just not taking Cleveland even in a 1-game means all. Win or go home game. I'm not taking Cleveland to beat really those teams.
Even if they're in the play-in, scenario, that's a win for them this year. They have definitely exceeded expectations this year. So I thought they were maybe a year away. Might be, quicker than I thought. All right. Buy or sell the Boston Celtics trading Jaylen Brown. Buy or sell, Mo?
I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. They got to do something. Because I believe they have to do something. Like as much as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have love for each other, and I know like loyalty means a lot, something has to happen because what they have right now is not working. Like they're not going to win a championship, and that's the ultimate goal for every team. You got to make championship moves. I think Brad Stevens at the front office knows he has to make a move to essentially say he's trying to win a championship. And I think the only way you do that and satisfy Celtics fans is giving up Jaylen Brown, because giving up Jason Tatum to me is like an afterthought right now, just because Jason Tatum is looked at as a superstar right now. And Jaylen Brown,
he's not playing like a superstar, though.
But Jaylen Brown, but he's looked at like how fans perceive Jason Tatum.
He has his value, his name brand.
His value is superstar. And Jaylen Brown, an all-star. Don't get me wrong. But you have to. Like I feel like eventually you have to let go of one of them. And if I'm Boston, who am I more willing to let go of, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum? It's got to be Jaylen Brown. Like Jason Tatum is the sexier name right now.
Yeah, and I've had my thing with Jason Tatum because he leads the league in field goal attempts and is shooting 39% from the field. Well, Jaylen Brown's been way more efficient, but everybody wants to trade Jaylen. Somehow everybody wants to trade Jaylen Brown. It doesn't make sense, but I know. Listen, I'm a Duke fan. I love Jason Tatum, but he has some blame to do with some of their struggles. But
Yeah.
Ersin, what about you? Buy or sell Jaylen Brown getting traded?
Nah, I'm selling
Agree.
it, man. Because if you look at the team, they won 4 of the last 5 games. They lost the Dallas game with the Dodgers buzzer beater. They got a new coach. And the piece will fall together for them. They got Dennis Schroeder, who dropped almost 40 the other night. I think they aren't a elite team in the East, but they are right there about the 5th, 6th. I think with the
they'll be in the
Knicks, with
play-in.
Miami, with
I think in
Atlanta.
the play-in.
Yeah, I think they will be between 5 and 9, to be honest. But that's for them is more than good. But I don't think Jaylen Brown is the problem or the solution to trade him. I think they need to,
He's not
continue
the problem.
building.
He's not the
No.
problem. He's never not
And
the
he's not the
problem.
solution either. I think for Jason Tatum, it's the same thing.
I don't think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can win a championship together. Like that's what I think it comes down to. So like if you're chasing being a good team, then you keep them together. If you're chasing being a great team and trying to win a championship, like I said on my show with Steven, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are high level number 2 options. If they're your second best player on the team, you have a chance at winning a championship. And I say chance. Neither of them now, as constructed, and I don't really see both of them turning into that guy, can be the best player on a championship team. That's just me, especially when you have 2 guys who may at ceiling be number 2. Like that. That's kind of my problem there is.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. Especially the way Jason's playing
this situation out, They stretch it out.
Level number 2s. Like, I think they could be the second best. If Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid play together, Philly got a shot at the championship. If Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid are there with Tobias Harris and Seth Curry, they got a chance to win a championship. But Tatum and Brown together, like essentially you're putting 2 number 2 options together to hopefully try and win a championship. And I just don't think I think it'll take a lot of a shake-up for the league for that to happen, for the Celtics to really win a championship.
Yep, I agree. All right, I got a few more. All right. The Warriors being title contenders. Buy or sell, Mo?
Oh, I'm buying. Come on, Chris. I've been on the Warriors train all season, and then I've been on the Warriors train all preseason leading up to the NBA. We've gone back and forth. We factored whether Klay Thompson, what he'll be when he comes back. I'm all in. I'm all in on the Warriors being title contenders. I'm not going to go as far as saying they're my favorite or they're going to win the championship, but yeah, a Western Conference Finals appearance. I've been preaching that for them. Prior to the season starting, especially when they kept their draft picks and got Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. I'm like, that's a testament to what the Golden State Warriors can do, barring any major injury.
Person, buy or sell?
I agree 100%, man. Buy. In the preseason, I was really reluctant. I take the L, bro, because I had them at the 6th and the 7th seed. They're right up there, bro.
I'll take the L too, yeah. I didn't think
I'll take the L, bro. They're title contenders for sure.
Yep. All right, next one. Kevin Durant being the MVP of the NBA. Are we buying or selling? I mean, have you seen his shooting splits? His shooting splits are some of the most impressive. And he leads the league in scoring, right? He's almost averaging 30 a game. He's shooting like only 19 attempts a game, which is like 18th or 19th in the league. And he's shooting like almost 60% from the field. It is absolutely absurd. Meanwhile, like Jason Tatum is shooting 24 shots a game, shooting 39% and shooting and scoring less. So like, I'm sorry, I don't mean like to get on Jason. I've just been upset with him. He's upsetting me lately. Sorry, Jason. I love you, Duke boy, but buy or sell Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant winning the MVP this season. Ersin.
I'm between both, but I think I'm buying it because I was looking at the shot charts the other day. If you look at Kevin Durant's shot chart, he's shooting literally about 2 or 3 spots between league average. Almost
so good.
More than league average, 10%. He's dominating guys. He's after the ACL. I think he's even became a better player than he was after the ACL injury, and you gotta respect that, man. I think. If you look at the discussion, who's the best player, Giannis or Kevin Durant, you can take both guys. And I would personally choose Giannis, but I won't argue with anyone saying that Kevin Durant's the best player. But the way he's playing right now, although it's still early, if he can play about 60, 65, 70 games, he's the MVP. I won't even doubt it, man.
He was my preseason MVP. Mo, by yourself, Kevin Durant, MVP of the NBA season.
Woo! I'm a buy. I'm a buy. I'm a buy. But if I had to pick right now, who's my MVP? Steph Curry to me is the MVP right now, and Kevin Durant it's 1A and 1B.
1B, yep, I agree.
And so I think that might be the storyline of the whole season is Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. I mean, Giannis is playing amazing, but I think he's going to start becoming like an old story but I think even he's starting to see like prepare for the playoffs. Like we're going to be good with the playoffs. Won the championship.
That was my reason for sell as well.
Guys, after winning the championship, we start seeing how serious they take the regular season outside the very few. So this year, I mean, the two best players in the NBA right now got to be Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, right? So to say that I'm on a 50-50 shot at buying that it's Kevin Durant, if it ain't Steph Curry, I'm a buy. He definitely has a shot, and I think it's going to be a two-man race pretty much all the way down to the end. I think that what's going to hurt Steph is the fact that Clay and Wiseman are going to come back. So there's going to be some things that Golden State has to figure out, and there's going to be some shots taken away from Steph where I think we don't even know if Kyrie's going to come back at all. Like, I think we know Clay is around the corner from coming back, and we know Wiseman's coming back. We don't know. We can't even predict whether Kyrie going to play. So we know Kevin Durant going to have to keep up MVP level of play for the Nets to be a championship contender, where we think the shots, and even though he's fairly efficient, but even his efficiency numbers have went down. But the ask for Steph Curry might go down once Klay Thompson and James Wiseman come back too. So I'm buying.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, if I had to say, I'm gonna buy. I mean, that boy KD is. I hate to say it, but he's the best player in the world.
He's going loco, bro.
I think he's the undisputed best player in the world. Like, I don't even think it's
undisputed. Though.
I think he's undisputed best. The way he plays the game of basketball, and there's guys who will do what he do what he does and do not do what he does as efficient as he does it.
He's one of the most efficient players we've ever seen in the NBA.
We don't even seen a player like this ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. This man is shooting he's taking 19 shots a game, making 11 of them a game, and shooting almost 60%. And this is a perimeter player. Yep. He's a perimeter player.
He's special.
He's averaging 30, shooting 19 shots. That's not supposed to happen. If he continues this pace, he's the MVP, and I'm buying all that. And I hate to say it because it is freaking Brooklyn, but that man is a problem.
He's special.
He's a problem. He's special.
He's special. I think it'll be a 1-2 punch. I think we'll be watching key games towards coming down the line towards the end of the season to see who really wins MVP.
That's going to be a fun battle.
What team is better in their conference? I think that'll play a big factor.
Yeah.
I just think they're playing absolutely amazing despite all the rule changes. You won't really have a knock on either player. So I think when it comes down to it, like, you're going to knock Dame for how he started off. You're going to knock Tatum. You're going to knock even Luka kind of started off slow, even though Dallas is a good team. But you have knocks on everybody else but Steph and Kevin Durant. Those are two players you can't knock on how they've been playing up to this point early. So you're going to look at that.
Yep, because Embiid's out. Joker hasn't
gone,
took an off. Like, he's having a great season, but waiting for that. Like last year, like he took off late. I think KD right now is him and Steph. That's gonna be a fun MVP battle. But what was fun was this show. I appreciate you gentlemen for joining me on the Off the Ball podcast. Appreciate you guys. This was a lot of fun. Well, we were able to get in a lot of stuff and all that, and appreciate Steven for chiming in for the few he had. But before we sign off, I want you guys to plug all your, whatever content you got that you had or have coming up, and all your social media. So, Ersin, you go first.
Well, you can find me at eDimmerNBA on Twitter. I mostly tweet about the NBA draft, writing scouting articles, posting up videos. I'm going to focus a lot on the NCAA this season, mainly because there aren't too much international prospects that I am focusing on, but mostly because I love the NCAA game and I haven't spent a lot of time in previous, so that's something I'm going to do. And I tweet a lot about the New York Knicks, video breakdowns, stats, the whole stuff. That's 99% of what I do. The 1% might be some other things, maybe some football here and there. So That's about
And
it.
Ersin, and if you guys don't know, Ersin loves Ben Roethlisberger for some weird reason,
Yeah,
but whatever.
That's his
he's a
guy.
great player.
Odd reason.
He loves Ben Roethlisberger for some reason, but he's one of the best out there, and I appreciate you coming on the show, brother. Mo, tell the people where they can
Appreciate it,
find
bro.
you.
Yeah, you can find me at Up in Flames Pod on Twitter, Instagram, at Mo_Cheese15 on Twitter, Instagram. As always, make sure you go check out, Dash Radio every Monday. Hell, we got what? Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at this point of all.
Takeover.
Yeah, you know what we're essentially taking over Dash Radio over here at Off the Ball Network. But make sure you go check out Off the Ball Network. That's what they love. They love Off the Ball Network Mondays. 5 straight hours of basketball content from myself, from Chris, Steven, the Hoopers, Kenneth. We keep the content coming. It's great. I'm gonna have Steven on my show on Monday. That's always an amazing show when me and Steven talk hoops. And then make sure you go check out everything. We got Overreaction Monday every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We got See You Sunday every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Like, just make sure you go check out all our content. I'm gonna get more into covering football. I've kind of fell off with basketball season being in full effect, but I'm gonna get more into covering the football as we're coming down the stretch for college football and getting interested with the playoffs and the NFL second half of the season, Super Bowl, potential teams and all that. So just make sure you go check out everything, and make sure you go check out everything at offtheballnetwork.com. And Chris, as always, bro, it's great when we link up.
Of course. And I
Sure, bro.
appreciate you guys for chopping up me for this last hour and change. It's been a fun show. You can find me Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, Off the Ball Podcast on Instagram. Make sure to follow. Make sure to sub. Right now we're all live on YouTube. Make sure to sub to the YouTube channel. We're trying to grow that bad boy. Try to get to that 1K. We got a whiles away, but we're gonna get there. I'm confident we're gonna get there. Make sure to go to offtheballnetwork.com for all your sports need. A lot of great content going on. Ersin just keeps posting tremendous prospect profiles. Mo just had an article we mentioned before. Kevin had a great article talking about teams favored to go into the season. Kenneth, everyone has some great stuff. Steven, always good stuff. Check out Draft Capital with me and Steven. There's just so many great shows. I can go on and on, but just go to offtheballnetwork.com. Go to OTB_network on Twitter. Make sure to follow Ersin. Make sure to follow Mo. And on that note, be well, be safe, take care, be kind to each other. And let's go Knicks.
Let's go Knicks, bro.